Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Texas Road. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, and get your questions in. We also have two special guests today. We're going to be joined by former Texas player Ryan Palmer, along with Matt Hayes of USA Today. He's their senior college football sports writer. And that's actually what we're going to open with, guys, is he came out with an article this morning. He sat down with Sark, kind of a one-on-one deal. Not kind of, it was a one-on-one deal. And Sark had a lot to say. Now, obviously, we can't read all the quotes and all the article here, but I'm going to put a few of the main takeaways up on the screen, guys. And Bobby, I'll let you start.
Yeah, you said it kind of got people started. I mean, it lit the world on fire a little bit. Steve Sarkeesian going all in, I think, on college football and the state of it via the USA Today. Matt Hayes, who we'll have on around 9:15 this morning to talk about this piece. Hayes saying that Sark told him that Sark wants greater governance and abiding by the rules across the board. He said, right now, there are no rules, and what's worse is there are no fear of consequences of those rules in the NCAA. If you get a ruling you don't like, you just go to a judge and get a different ruling that's either in Lubbock or Oxford, Mississippi, apparently. And so I feel like Sark had a number of things to say as it related to it. He also talked about wanting a 4-team college playoff as opposed to a 24. Why go to more when you could just take the 4 conference winners and be done with it? That there's some merit there. You're definitely going to get the best team, he thinks, that way. But other people want more games and more things and more television money as it continues to go on. Really, the thing that I felt was the overarching storyline here is the idea that the NCAA and its member schools both have lost their way. Not just the NCAA and its governance, but some of the schools within it. And Sark, actually, I felt like advocated somewhat for breaking away from the NCAA via the SEC. He said, to close the article out with Matt Hayes, that he felt like there was some traction among SEC coaches to break away from the NCAA and create a league or conference or whatever you want to call it that all agree to a set of rules, live by it, play by it, and go to work. And I felt like that, of all things, was maybe the most interesting part of the entire article. Jerry, you and Blake both read it as well. This is shaping up, in my opinion, as the off-season talk. And the reason why, rather than NIL, it's the future of college football. NIL is going to be a part of college football come hell or high water.
Yeah.
But how is the NCAA governed? Is the bigger piece. Is it by the Senate and Congress, or is it by the member institutions coming up with a new way to handle things?
I mean, look, I think this is what my biggest takeaway from this, and I have a lot of small takeaways. I absolutely 100% disagree with Sark on 14 playoff. I think he's wrong. But where I think this is really good is we know this is going to end up with 2 super conferences. We just don't know when it's going to be. My thing on all this is the quicker we get the ball moving towards it, the better. That is where we're headed. So how long is it going to take us to get there? 5 years? 10 years? 10 years seems like too long. What are the new TV contracts? 2031? We need to work towards the 2 super conferences, break away from the NCAA. The super conferences have their rules. They abide by their rules, like you said, Bobby, but that's where all this is headed. And it's always been headed here. There were a lot of people talking. We did on this show talking about this when NIL really got started and all this stuff kicked in, and Texas and OU moved to the SEC, and the Pac-12 teams move to the Big Ten. Everybody knows where this is headed. How long is it going to take to get there, and how's it going to get there? I think the on the right of this, the no rules, no fears, no consequences. I think that is look, and I think it's on both sides. By the way, I mean my biggest issue right now with all of this is honestly just players being able to transfer year after year after year after year. And Sark hit on the academics part, and that's a tough discussion because look, is this even college athletics anymore? Not really. So first you have to decide what you really are before you can get into that talk, in my opinion, from the academic side, because it just doesn't feel like that anymore. But the transferring year after year after year, and I don't blame the players for doing what they did as allowed and making as much money as they can, but it's agent driven. Too much of this is agent driven and agent controlled right now. And that means the agents are controlling not just the recruits, but the coaches. The agents have the most control, and there's no guardrails. There's no consequences. And that is my biggest takeaway is how do we make these – and by the way, the sport's more popular than ever. And as you add more playoff teams, it's going to keep getting more popular. And I know the power schools aren't going to like it going to 24 teams because that gives them a greater chance to get upset. I get it, but it's really worked for the NCAA tournament over the years, and the ratings are as high as ever, and there's a reason they're as high as ever. So it's going to – the 4-team playoff I think is totally wrong. By the way, I think that's totally wrong. I think I'm not sure it should be 24, but I'd love 16. But I think the biggest issue is for me is the biggest thing he hit on is there's no consequences for anything right now at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I want to go just as we look at this graphic. Okay. I want to look at each individual box. Okay. And talk about each individual box and see if we agree or disagree.
Yeah.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Academics have been forgotten. Would we largely agree with that?
Yes.
Agreed.
All right.
Yeah.
Blake, you agree also?
Yep.
Okay. This is Sark's point on that. Only 5% of his players, or not necessarily his players, but of players at large in Division I will ever play pro football.
100%.
So what does that mean for the other guys? It means the degree should matter. And this is where Sark took aim. And I think it could have been to tweak Ole Miss a little bit over Pete Golding. Jeff Howe pointed this out to us on the message board over at On Texas Football this morning, that it could have been Sark tweaking Ole Miss because Pete Golding used his alcoholism in the recruitment against Arch Manning. But my point being is I think we all agree academics have been forgotten. So that's point one from Sark. All agree with it. How it comes out and what's right, I think is up for debate, but it's a good point. Part two, the selection committee is the biggest problem. We have not addressed that. So, Jerry, when you say I disagree, 24 is great.
No, I said 16.
Oh, 16. Okay. You're fine with 16. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Some people are more 24, so I apologize for that.
No, you're good.
But what I was saying here, the selection committee is the biggest problem. Sark has done a couple of things. Sark, number one, says nobody can watch every game and decide who's the top 24 teams. He thinks you should decide it on the field of play, and the 4 conference winners should be in the 4-team conference national championship deal. Now, he thinks the selection committee is the biggest problem because he said, look, I'm a major college football fan. When I have an off weekend, he goes, I'm in front of the TV with a quad box watching 4 games at the same time. He said, but I still can't tell you about the North Carolina State Wake Forest game because I didn't watch that one because I was so glued to the other ones. He doesn't believe the selection committee, no matter how many former coaches are on it, Gus Malzahn and Mike Riley, etc. He doesn't think you can get the right 24, and there will always be bickering, whether it's 12, 16, whatever the number. You seem, Jerry, I agree with him on that. You can't get the selection committee right.
It's never going to be perfect.
Okay, but is that the bigger piece to it, or is the 16 or 24 team still a better solution?
So I think there's a couple of things here. Honestly, just being real. I think the power schools aren't going to like the more playoff teams there are. And I know Nick Saban wouldn't have liked it. He loved 14 playoff. Why? It's easier if you get there. Of course you're going to like it if you're a power school. I disagree with that. And I think that is what some people like about 4. You're the power schools. You have the advantage, of course. I don't think that's what's best for the sport.
You don't have the advantage. You only get 4. You only get one chance.
Yeah, but here's the problem with also saying 4. So Miami played for the national championship and earned getting there last year. They wouldn't have even been in it. But that's why he's wrong. You're taking away a team that was a play away from winning the national championship last year that would not have been in it. That's the problem. There's too many teams. There's too much talent nowadays. The NCAA tournament basketball has it right. I mean, they have it right. You can't – who else is it? Ole Miss wouldn't have been in it last year. So 2 of your 4 semifinalist teams wouldn't have even been there. So obviously 4 teams is wrong. That's already been proven out. But the power schools don't like that because more schools have an opportunity. That's just the reality. But you're never going to have a perfect system in terms of 24 teams, 16. There's always going to be a gripe about who should have been in, who shouldn't be in. It's been in the NCAA tournament for years. Dick Vitale used to go on rants about it every year on Selection Sunday in the NCAA tournament. You're never going to have a perfect system. So if we're looking for a perfect system, it's never going to exist. But whether you're at 16 teams or 24 teams, I personally think 16, the 17th or 18th team is always going to have a gripe, right? But is that going to keep you from having a national champion if you have 16 of the best teams in the country and they all go fight it out? The one thing that does change is it gives teams a chance to get hot and go on a heater and maybe get to a national title game that wouldn't have ordinarily. I like that. I think it's great for the sport. And I think that's why the money's going to keep going up. The viewership's going to keep going up.
Yeah, the problem I foresee is actually with the 4 team that Steve Sarkeesian is advocating for is actually the elephant in the room. I mean, you would think, okay, 4 teams, let's take the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC champs. There's this team up in South Bend, Indiana that would slowly raise their hand. What do you do with Notre Dame in that? Do they have to join a conference at that point?
Well, they're going to have to join a conference when it goes to 2 super conferences. And I don't know when that's going to happen. They're going to be forced to when we get to 2 super conferences. The quicker we get to there, the better off college will be long term.
What I think they should do to assuage Notre Dame's independent strike or fever that they have that they won't give up, just don't call it a conference. Just call it 24 independents or 64 independents. And then maybe Notre Dame would think, oh, everybody's come around to us, even though it is actually a conference. All right, the last one here. No rules, no fear, no consequences. Blake, I got to tell you, this is the one of all of them that struck home for me. Do you agree with that?
I agree. That's why I put that last part of that quote in burnt orange to really make it pop, where it says right now in college football, there's no fear. People do whatever they want. That's the real issue. Your quarterback needs another year. Go to and he gets denied by the member by the organization that you opted into. I mean, Ole Miss opts into the NCAA. Texas opts in to the NCAA. Texas Tech opts into the NCAA and their oversight. Yet you fight them. Yeah. When you get something and you go to a judge in the state of Mississippi or a judge in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in basketball or any number of aspects in Lubbock, what's going on right now with Brennan Sorsby, you opt into these organizations and then you try to create subterfuge around it immediately. Yeah, I just think that he's right. And
he's right.
We need to call it what it is.
Look, I mean, and I agree. He's right. And here's the problem. College athletics right now is the only thing going where the agents are running it. And people may argue with that, but to me, that's the reality. The agents are running it. The agents aren't running the NFL. They're not running MLB. There's literally no guardrails. There's no salary caps. There's nothing to keep the agents from having the total control of the sport. And if anybody thinks that's good, and look, I know some of those guys, but if anybody thinks that's a good thing, it's a horrible thing. I mean, so that is the issue I have. By the way, people are asking where I was at. I was at Orlando First Baptist Academy this morning, see Reed Ramsey, Texas offensive line target. I'm headed north in Florida, so I stopped off at the UF campus for the live show to give you guys a look at an SEC campus. I think Bobby, I think the big thing is there have to be some guardrails put in place so the agents aren't the ones running college sports, because that's where we're at right now. To me, and so a kid can transfer 5 times when we go 5 for 5, they're gonna be able to transfer 5 times in 5 years. And as long as that's legal. And if you're an agent, of course, if you have a guy that's not going to be a high draft pick, you're going to push that guy to keep transferring and making more money. And so the agents are in control of this right now. And I don't think that's healthy for college athletics. That was the biggest problem when all this started, is if they had full control, that's not going to be healthy.
Yeah, the agents could be managed by the NCAA potentially, though. That's there are no rules, there are no consequences.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what Sark went at, and it wasn't. You're not wrong about the agents as an issue. I'm not saying you are, but to me, it falls under that broader heading of lack of guardrails, lack of. I mean, heck. The famous comment back in the day from the NCAA was they would tell a school lack of institutional control. That's why you're going on probation. Can all of the schools and us fans claim that the NCAA is under lack of institutional control? I'll raise my hand because they are. Yeah. Lack of institutional control. Hey, need to get to some other news and notes. Jerry mentioned he's out on the road recruiting there at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium at University of Florida. But we need to say thank you to our sponsor, Texas Road. Texas Road is your full-service solution for major road projects. Our friend Rick Vavro and the guys over at Texas Road provide full support of multiple crews performing utility, dirt work, concrete, and asphalt. Texas Road provides on-site concrete through volumetric trucks. In producing smaller volumes, they're able to complete road building in a high-profile environment. Again, that is Rick Vavro and the guys over at Texas Road. They also have a sister company called Austin Underground. All those cranes you see in downtown Austin, they have to get there somehow, some way. Underneath it all, Austin Underground's doing the work of downtown Austin. Again, Texas Road and Austin Underground, our friend Rick Vavro and those guys over there at Texas Road LLC.
All right. Well, Jerry, obviously on the road on the Florida campus, as he said just a moment ago. So, Jerry, let's talk a little recruiting this morning. Oh, you're muted, Jerry.
I was, because the leaf blowers are out and about here. So sorry if anybody can't hear me. So I went to Palm Beach Central yesterday, down in Wellington, south of West Palm, to see Tyler Alexander, 4-star defensive lineman that's a top Texas target. Texas was by. We have some film of him. Texas was by there last week. Kenny Baker was there, I believe, on Wednesday, is what Tyler told me. But this is one of the top defensive line prospects in the state of Florida, in the Southeast. He is one of the top handful of guys on the board for Texas. He's got an official visit June 19th through 21st. I think Texas is doing very well with Tyler Alexander. The big news yesterday that came out when I was there was that this recruitment started as Florida was the favorite, and then it was going to see who else see what else would happen after that. Florida's taken 2 D linemen in this class already. I think Tyler Alexander and Florida are moving on from each other. So I think this is Texas, Notre Dame, and Georgia are the 3. Notre Dame was at the school most of the day yesterday. Georgia's going to be by Wednesday. The defensive line coach at Palm Beach Central played for Trey Scott, the Georgia D-line coach, not at Georgia, but at a prior stop in college. But I don't think that's a decision maker in this recruitment. But I believe this one is going to be a Texas, Notre Dame, Georgia battle. We'll see if an A&M's still talking to him. Maybe they set up a visit. I don't know if he'll set one, but I really think right now it's going to be one of those three schools. And I think it could go any of those three directions. If you made me say something today, I'd lean more Texas or Notre Dame. I think he had a great visit to Texas. His mom went out there. It was her birthday weekend. Texas surprised her with a birthday cake and celebration for her birthday. I think he really likes Kenny Baker. I think that's the D-line coach is going to be a big point of emphasis in his recruitment, in his development, talking to his defensive line coach. And I know he likes Marcus Freeman as a head coach at Notre Dame. Obviously, he's got a really good personality, and he relates to kids really well. And then I know he likes Trey Scott. So I think it go one of three ways. It's going to come down to the OVs. And then this morning, the reason I'm at Florida is I'm still heading north, but I drove up to Orlando last night. Reed Ramsey, the offensive lineman from First Baptist Academy in Orlando, they have 5:45 a.m. East Coast practice. And so I was up very early and over at First Baptist Academy in Orlando. So I got done about 7:30 and hit the road. But Reed Ramsey, who I think we're going to watch in a second, Blake, I think he's pretty much down to three schools. He is 6'4 and a half, 295. Yeah, we showed this. They are the ones that played on the yellow turf field, which is crazy. So this is Reed Ramsey. Reed Ramsey is interesting. He's worked at left tackle, right guard, and center because they had some injuries this spring. The college coaches love that he's willing to play center. He's kind of seen as a swing player, but he's worked out at center a lot because his offensive line trainer is Kendall Randolph, who played at Alabama for Kyle Flood. Not that that's going to be the deciding factor in the recruitment, but Reed Ramsey, I think he's really down to Texas, Auburn, Clemson. He's going to make those three official visits. I don't think he's going to make a fourth or fifth OV. And I'm comfortable saying I think Texas is in a good spot for him right now. I think Texas likes that he will play center, but he's got tackle measurables. He's almost a little too tall at center, but I think Texas likes that he's willing to do that, and he's training there from time to time. But Kyle Flood was at the school last week and spent 3 hours last Wednesday and spent 3 hours with Ramsey. I mean, they spent a lot of time visiting at the school visit. They went over a lot of his tape, did a lot of teach tape with him. And I think that was really meaningful for Ramsey. He's a guy that really studies the coaches, really studies scheme, really studies the game. He's been at Texas twice unofficially, and he will be back for his official visit the 19th through 21st. So both those Florida kids, last visit for Texas will be the 19th through 21st. And while the question was up earlier, I'll answer. Somebody asked about Brock Williams. He will be announcing his decision May 15th. That's Friday. We still feel good about Texas there. Texas, Ohio State, Georgia. Georgia has Jackson Dollar committed already, and we'll see which way Brock Williams goes, but we haven't heard anything to push us off feeling somewhat confident in that recruitment heading into his decision day.
Hey, Jerry, I wanted to ask you a question. You talked about two guys primarily there, Tyler Alexander, Reed Ramsey. On Alexander, what was his height and weight again? He's
6'4", 310. And
anybody physically that he would remind us of as guy that played at Texas? Has he got a Rod Wright physique? I mean, who does he remind you of?
Maybe Rod Wright on the current team. Field wise, maybe Murad Watson a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not saying he's going to be that level player, but I think that he is kind of built like Murad Watson once he gets in a college program. But he's an inch taller, so he may be 15 pounds heavier. But same type of build, I would say. Oh, Antoine says Bryson Thrower commitment watch. the wide receiver from North Forney, who Texas, Chris Jackson, I'm not sure anybody was with him, had an in-home visit with him last night. Before the Texas visit, he announced on Instagram that he was going to commit on July 17th. I think that's a meaningful date in his family, but it's also an interesting date because my opinion is he'll probably have to do a silent commitment somewhere before there. That's a little late in the game. I think some colleges are going to kind of want to know from him, hey, are we in it? Are you coming here? Are you not coming here? Because after those June visits, those slots are going to start filling up fast. So while that date is July 17th, if he keeps that date as July 17th, I think my prediction is Bryson Thorough will make a silent commitment to either Texas A&M, Illinois prior to that date, and then go public on the 17th. Because like I said, the spots are going to be filling up fast in late June and early July. I'm not sure you can wait till July 17th to actually make your decision and tell college coaches.
That's an interesting idea. So do you think that's going to happen beyond just the receiver position with a lot of players, Jerry, that
I think so.
Hold their spot?
I think so. Too many kids are committing early in this cycle to me. I mean, we're seeing a lot of guys go off the board to me more than we did in the last couple of years. And all these visits are moving up. There's more May official visits. I think these colleges are going to be pressing these kids for decisions before mid-July. Unless they're a top 25, 30 guy in the country and have all the leverage.
I like that. I like the way you're thinking about that, because I think that it'll lead us down the road of knowing who we're supposed to cover. At the same time, Texas will, and other schools will have a better idea of where they're actually situated on some guys. So that's good. Brock, when can we expect Brock Williams, the tight end out of Libertyville, Illinois, to announce his commitment? Sports Talk Jay, that will be on Friday. Jerry, do we have a specific time?
I've not seen the time. I'll check.
Yeah, we haven't seen a specific time, Sports Talk, but it is Friday. According, I think Jerry or CJ1 spoke with the father of Brock Williams yesterday to try to figure out when exactly that's going on. But we'll get back to you.
We got a super chat that just came in from Terrence Jones, referencing his super chat from yesterday. Thank you, Terrence. Appreciate you. Says, Bobby and Jerry, my Cedric Benson question yesterday wasn't toward you guys. It was toward Texas fans when running backs are talked about.
Totally fair. We appreciate it. I don't think either of us took it as a personal piece. I wanted to make sure you knew that he was held in great stead by me, at least. And I know Jerry was the same way. Hey, the other thing I want to say as a part of this, Terrence, it did bring somebody out of the woodworks for us. Jerry and I both got a text from Will Matthews, who joins us sometimes on Thursday. He does the radio sideline reporter for the University of Texas, sideline analyst. Will Matthews was Cedric Benson's fullback for a couple of years at Texas. And he said, thank you for what you said about Cedric. Much respect. So Will was listening in and heard it. And so, Terrence, some good came out of that discussion, I think. That's a good thing.
All right. So we're going to have Brian Palmer probably join us here in just a few minutes. So, Jerry, I'm going to go ahead and let you tell everyone this morning about our friends over at Ridge. And you're muted again, Jerry.
This loud truck over here. I'm pulling Blake. I'm telling you right now, this Ridge Power Bank is one of those products you use one time and immediately go, okay, why did I not have this sooner? Everybody has dealt with this. Your phone needs one cord, your headphones need another, your watch needs something different, and somehow when you actually need a charger, it is never the correct one. You end up digging through a bag with 5 different cords. Gosh, that is me and my computer bag. Tangled together like Christmas lights. That made me think of a movie. Ridge fixed that. Their 5-in-1 travel power bank has built-in charging options so you can charge your phone, your Apple Watch, USB-C devices, Lightning devices, and even use MagSafe wireless charging. All sounds like a plan, and it's not just convenient. It has real power behind it. You can get up to 3 full phone chargers in your pocket. That is huge when you're traveling, at a game, at an airport, or just out all day and nowhere near an outlet. This thing isn't bulky either. It's sleek, looks great, and it is exactly what you'd expect from a Ridge product. Clean, durable, premium, and certainly built to last. And with Father's Day coming up, this is the perfect gift for Dad because it's something he will actually use. One thing to pack, 5 ways to power. For a limited time, get 40% off Ridge's huge Father's Day sale at ridge.com/OnTexas. Don't miss one of the biggest discounts all year. Just head to ridge.com/OnTexas and you're all set. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. You know the answer.
Thank you, Jerry. And before we get to Ryan, I'm going to tell you all about HexClad real quick this morning. Listen up. Spring cleaning is here. And before you pretend your kitchen is fine, go look at that pan that you've been using since college. If it's warped, scratched up, burnt, or maybe even smells like bad decisions, it is time to upgrade. That's why I'm a huge fan of HexClad. These pans are legit. They give you the sear and the heat control you want from stainless steel, but with the easy cleanup of nonstick. And that's the part that got me. You can actually cook with them, get great results, and then you're not standing over the sink for 20 minutes trying to scrape everything off. And you don't have to baby them either. HexClad is metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, oven safe, up to 900 degrees. And the stay cool handles are a big deal when you're moving fast in the kitchen. Plus, every HexClad product comes with a lifetime warranty, so you'll never have to buy pans again. There's a reason that Gordon Ramsay uses HexClad at both home and in his restaurants. The secret is out. HexClad has over 1 million customers and more than 50,000 5-star reviews. But don't go through another spring using the same busted pans you should have thrown out years ago. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off with our exclusive link. Just go to hexclad.com/OnTexas. Again, support the show. Check them out at HexClad, HEXCLAD.com/OnTexas. Spring clean your kitchen the smart way with HexClad. All right, Jerry, I'm going to let you unmute yourself and introduce our next guest.
Yeah, today we have Ryan Palmer on, lifetime Longhorn Ryan Palmer. I ran into him at the spring showcase spring game. I think he was there for alumni weekend. Ryan, thanks for joining the show. Arlington Bowie to the Texas Longhorns, 25 starts at Texas, really strong career. I think you got a couple of rings out of it as well. Thanks for joining the show, Ryan.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's good to be on the show. I've been making my run at podcasts these last couple of months, so it's good to get back on the camera, man. It's been a while, but it's fun. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good, Ryan. Hey, tell us when we have former players on, we always ask what they're up to, what they've been doing since they wore the burnt orange. What's been going on with you?
So I've been in tech. What is it? This is going on my 15th year. I work for a company called D3 Security. We do AI SOC automation. So a little bit of case management, but now that AI is out, we created a proprietary software called Morpheus AI that we're selling right now. So I'm regional sales manager of Tola in Southeast. So, man, I'm just busy. Have an event today that I have to run down to downtown. So, man, I'm just shaking and moving, man. But it's been really good. I think my experience at UT has really just, taught me how to be a professional, how to, go about your day and moving in the world outside of football. So it's been really good.
Ryan, are you in Dallas, Houston, Austin?
I'm in Lake Travis. So I'm back in Austin. I moved back to Austin in 2011 after I played in the UFL for a couple of years. I moved back here and got married, have 2 kids, and just living the dad life, man. And people didn't tell me it was this much fun and this challenging at the same time. So it's been fun.
Can any of those kids run as fast as you, Ryan?
Yeah, I actually have a young son right now who's in 6th grade at Lake Travis, and he's on the select team right now. Yeah, he definitely would be the next Palmer to get a look out. He's really fast, super agile, plays safety and flanker receiver. So, yeah, we're getting another Palmer in there soon.
I was going to say there's going to be a lot of former Longhorns kids coming through Lake Travis in the next 5 to 10 years. A lot. Like 20 20 plus, I think.
It's so many. So me and Kenny Vaccaro, we actually have a team called Renegades, and both our kids play together, Kendon and Ford. So we've been doing that on the side, running Renegades, and now my son's in school ball. So it just never stops, right? It's 24/7. It's when we played, it was when the fall was over, you go to track. When track is over, that's when you get back in spring ball. but now it's year round. And if you don't have the ability to play football year round, it's kind of in that sweet spot. Either, you're kind of getting left out. So you have to make sure that you're really locked into what these kids have going on, because it's 24/7 for sure.
Ryan, earlier today,
yeah. Go ahead, Bobby.
Ryan, earlier today, Steve Sarkeesian was quoted in the USA Today talking about academics and how they've fallen by the wayside. And yet, in your first comment to us, you said, "Look, blessed for what the University of Texas has done for me." Because, look, you may play in the NFL or UFL or wherever for 5 years, but it ain't 50.
It's not.
Yeah. And so Sark bemoaning the fact that we've lost sight of the academic value that kids are being provided. Speak a little bit to that and your own experience and what the actual value is, if there are any kids out there listening or fans that are just on the fence of the value.
My thing is this. Look, I played with some great athletes, from VY to Brian Orakpo, Earl Thomas. Football is going to end for everybody. And I really want kids to understand this. It doesn't matter if you play 4 years in high school, 4 years in college. You could have been a 10-year NFL pro. Football would end for everybody. So it's up to us to really put an emphasis on education, going to class. For us, going to school, it made you feel like a celebrity. Who didn't want to go walk on campus and meet everybody, shake hands, and just really, just throw yourself in that atmosphere? You don't get these opportunities really ever, right? You're in college for 4, or if you redshirt, you're in there for 5 years. So I tell kids to take advantage of that. You build networks from college, right? I still have people that I networked with 20 years ago that we're doing business today. So it's really important that kids understand that football is just a segment in your life. It's not your entire life. Coach Brown told us something that I'll never forget. After we won the national championship, he said, "Do not let this be the most important thing in your life." And I was thinking, well, we just won the Natty. But it was true. Don't let this moment be the biggest moment in your life. You're going to get married. You're going to have kids. So it's really important for kids. I know they're making money now, which is awesome, right? I would love to have made, some money in college. But I think kids are losing sight that you came to school to study, and football is secondary. And you really have to understand that, because when football's over, what are you going to do, right? When that game is taken from you that you've been working for since you were 6 years old, what do you like to do? What are your passions? So I think he's right. I think we have lost kind of sight of the academic part of college. And it would be good to get back to it, because I always have these conversations with my friends. Kids are getting money now, right? So what happens when they're getting money 2-3 years and then football's over and then they have to go get that $40,000, $50,000 job? It's not like they were making, $100,000 in college. So there's going to be a lot of depression. I think there's going to be a lot of reality that these kids need to understand, that academics is first. If you're good enough, you'll go to the league, but not everybody goes. It's only 1%. You can start, like myself, 25 games, you get a shot, it don't work out. You have to recourse and find, what you want to do in your life. Because like you said, it's not a 50-year, it's not a 50-year career. And for most people, it's only 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I would say, look, beyond NFL, what percent go into like true coaching? Maybe 7 to 10%.
If that, and with that too, that's tough too, because you have to go back and get your master's, especially if you want to be on the college level. You have to go back to school. So you have to go get your master's. You're making 20, 30 grand. If you have a family, it's tough. So you really have to, if I could do anything different in my college career, I would plan earlier, right? We were all trying to go to the NFL, and, great times at UT, won a lot of football games. So I think that kind of skewed our mindset as well. It's like, I lost 6 games in 5 years. I think I'm going to the league, right? Oh, straight shot. After the combine, I'm like, there's no stopping me. And then when you get there and things don't work out the way you would want them to, you really have to sit back and kind of strategically think about where I'm going to be in 20 years, right? how do I want people to remember me after football? And I don't think kids are thinking about that right now. And it's hard to when they're making so much money.
Brian, I wanted to ask you, I want to take you back to your time at Texas. You played at a time when, look, and I don't go all the way back in the history of Texas football, but this has been as arguably as talented of a secondary for a run as University of Texas had. I mean, and this is the other thing about this nowadays. You had to wait your turn. You played behind 4, 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Your high school teammate, Brandon Foster, y'all had to wait your turn. And that is a tough thing to do now today for kids because they get offered money to go somewhere else and start. But I want you to talk about just what was that like on that talented of a secondary for you guys every day in practice, man, because that is a lot of NFL talent you guys had.
Oh, it was amazing, right? Michael Huff, Michael Griffin, Cedric Griffin, Aaron Ross, even go back a little farther from the people who really set the example for us, like Rob Babers, Quentin Jammer, and my big bro, Nathan Vasher. Like it made you step back and see that the talent is even, right? You're coming in, you're the hottest thing in your high school. Then you get to Texas, and there's literally 6 guys that are getting drafted in front of you. Literally 6. And you just have to reassess, I'm not playing this year. I'm not playing next year. But what I am going to do is I'm going to redshirt. I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to get stronger and faster. So when those guys leave, I can carry the torch. And that was something that I don't think a lot of people understood with the brotherhood that Coach Akina, brought to DBU, and it's still DBU, is the brotherhood, is the competition aspect, is every day in practice you have to compete to get on the field. And that has carried over to the real world. When I get on these sales calls and I talk to all these executives, they're like, you're just so energetic, but they don't understand that I'm really competing like I'm on the field trying to get that start for that Saturday. But it was amazing, man. I still talk to those guys all the time. It was just an amazing experience to be able to sit back and see how it's done, right? When you come in high school, you don't know how it's done. What you really have to do is sit back and watch the older guys do their thing, win Thorpes, go first round. So when it's your turn, you can bring the guys up like the Earl Thomas, the Blake Gideons, the Shockeys, the Deion Beasleys, the Curtis Browns. When I was a senior, I had to lead those guys. So it really teaches you how to be patient. But I do want to say something. I think the competition aspect of colleges is really what's concerning me. If you don't play your first year, you just can leave and go somewhere else. But think about this, right? You have a kid that comes to UT, he doesn't play, but he goes to another school. And then that doesn't work out for him. He goes to another school. Do you think he can come back and get his degree from UT? Absolutely not. So I think we're really selling these kids short on what's real in life. What's real in life is getting your degree from one of the best public schools in the world, which is UT, and building your life outside of football. Football is just a platform. It's not your life. And if you really can broaden your platform with UT, the network is endless, right? There's so many people doing great things in business that went to UT that you can connect with. But I think kind of being closed-minded and just solely focused on the NFL has hurt a lot of kids. To tie it back to the competition, it's if kids can't start their first year, they run and go. I really think kids need to sit back and really think about that. Because when I was at school, I had to wait. I redshirted, I didn't start till my redshirt junior year. Kids in my shoes would have left, 2 years ago. So they really have to focus and think about, what am I doing here and how can I compete to get on the field, instead of what's the next 2 schools that say I can start, let me leave.
I think about what you just said, and at On Texas Football, Ryan, I don't know how much you know about what we do, but we try to really focus on having a lot of former players on, like yourself, and bringing kind of fans inside the huddle, so to speak, not just during their career, but post-career and what's going on. And I hear you say that, and I think I just wrote some names down. Tony Hills, Jackson Shipley, Rod Babers, Will Matthews, Marcus Myers. Every single one of those guys have said something almost exactly like what you just said. And so I don't want to go on I don't want to go on in the pulpit here and beat the Bible. But my point is, what you're saying echoes what so many people have come before you and said. You said it articulately and eloquently and all of those things. So I think that everybody understands that. I just hope they hear it.
Yeah.
You know, when you tell somebody, I learned a long time ago, you tell your kid everything you know, right?
Yeah.
A doctor once told me, hey, Bobby, you know, no matter how bright your kid is, the most they can hear you is 60% of the time.
100%.
So
100%.
hopefully,
it's
get that.
Yeah, it's I would say it's a tougher job now that they're making money. I mean, think about it. What 18-year-old kid wants to listen to you? They're making millions of dollars. I mean, what's the reality of it? Them actually listening to you, right? There's no reality in that. So it's going to be up to the parents, right? I think most of the responsibility is on the parents. They have to mold their kids to understand that this is a different game. It's a business. Yes, you're making money, but it's not going to last forever. And I think Coach Brown really did a great job with all of us. Like I heard you mention Marcus Myers. I've seen some of his podcasts. I mean, we're all cut from that same cloth, right? Doing great things professionally now in the work world, but football, don't let football be your all, be your everything, right? Don't let football be everything you live for, because when it's over, there's nothing else to live for, right? If you make it your everything, when it's over, I mean, you can't pivot and do anything else. So I would just tell kids to work hard, compete, and enjoy it while it's here, because it will end soon. But try to find some other things you like to do. Do you like computers? Do you like to talk? You can get in sales. There's so much other things you can do. And I really encourage kids to take the time to really just think about, you know, the next 20 years of their life instead of just thinking about the next 5 trying to go to the NFL.
Marcus,
Hey,
Ryan,
I know you got to get out of here soon, and I appreciate the time. I can't. This is my last thing. I know Bobby has something else for you. I can't let you out of here without giving us a Will Muschamp story from your playing days. That would not be fair to the fans if you don't give them a Will Muschamp story.
Man, I love Will. I actually got to see him at the alumni. It was really good to run into Will. We had a real close relationship. We used to share dip. He used to dip Longhorn. That's when I was a heavy dipper in college. But that just shows you how close we were as a unit. I believe that the D-line linebackers in secondary, we were just one unit, right? We ran to the ball. It was phenomenal. We had so many NFL talents, so many great personalities. It was just a fun time. And he was the biggest personality, but people don't understand that it was him and Coach Akina. So we married those two crazy souls together. And it was a great time, man. It was a lot of fun. We won a lot of games. It's a lot of memories that live with you forever, right? Those things that you did the 5 years at UT, you're going to always remember those. And I just think those guys, you know, Coach Muschamp and Dwayne Akina, it was a blessing to be able to go to UT. It was a blessing to sit back and watch the Michael Huffs, the Aaron Ross. Like, it was a crazy time. My first year, we went to the Michigan game. And then the next year, we won the national championship. A lot of kids don't get that when they go into a school. They have to build and try to, you know, build up to get to where we were. I got put right into it. And then when everybody left, they were like, okay, now we have to hold this standard. So it was a little different back in the day, but it was great time, a lot of great memories. Coach Muschamp is as advertised. Fiery. He will get on your butt if you're not doing the things the right way, but he's a player's coach for sure.
Hey, Ryan, before we let you go, Texas did not, after you left and a number of other people left, Texas went through a 10-year stretch or so of mixed results, I guess is the best way to put it. Now that you see them winning and winning big again, your thoughts on what the differences have been? Is it strictly the players? Is it something else going on? What's in the water in Austin, Texas right now?
I think it's Sark. I really like how Sark has came in and really built this unit. I think they're closer. Of course, there's more talent. With more talent, of course, things are easier. Players are easier to coach when you have more talent. But I truly feel Texas always has talent. I think sometimes just it comes down to really the coach putting that fire under the players, making them compete. Right. When we were in school, we had a true 3D. Right. There was three at corner. There was 3D. You had your first, second, and third string. If all of them would have left, they could have started at any school. I think UT got back to that, got back to having depth. So with depth brings competition and practice. If you have a bad practice, Coach Muschamp brought the point system back. So if you're up on points, you're starting, right? It doesn't matter if you're a 3-year starter. If you're not producing, you won't play. I think those things in winning and the culture is like, okay, we're back. Okay, this is what it feels like to win. I feel like Sark has really done a great job at really bringing everything together. The city's back vibing. Old players, we're talking more coming back to the game. So I think, once they bring us back, the alumni, once the city feels that we're winning, we got some good transfer kids. I think, man, the sky's the limit for them. And like I mentioned before, with expectations, that means you're doing something right. If somebody's expecting you to win a national championship, if they're expecting you to be top 2, you've done something right. You don't get those kind of accolades if you're not any good, if you're not a good football team. So I think he has them on the right direction. It's going to be up to the kids. What do they want? Do they want their legacy to be etched like ours? Do they want a national championship? Do they want to win bowl games? It's up to the kids. And I think they have the balls in their court. It's just up to them.
Ryan, thank you so much for your time. Jerry, thanks for getting him on as a guest. Good luck at your sales conference.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Hey, hook 'em horns. Thank you so much. Good to see you, Bobby, Blake, and Gary. It's good to see you guys. It's been so long. I got gray in my beard looking like an old man, but it's good to see you fellas. And you guys have a good rest of your week.
We're going to have you on again during the season.
Thanks, Ryan.
He'll be breaking down. Make him and Rod break down the secondary again. Rod and Marcus both texted me during that segment and said, he's my dog. Oh, he is a good one, is what they said. Blake, we got another guest coming up. But first, I think we got to do some ad reads.
That's right. We are going to have Matt Hayes from USA Today joining us here in just a moment. But I need to tell everyone about Prize Picks first. I'm telling you, it's May. The weather's perfect. Everything's rolling. And Prize Picks adds a lot more fun to your favorite sports. Now, every possession matters, every at-bat matters, every shot, every pitch. You're locked in from start to finish. You're not just watching anymore. You got a little juice in it. And the best part is it's easy. There's no deep dives, no complicated nonsense. You're just picking more or less on player stats, points, rebounds, hits, strikeouts, whatever you're already watching. You build it, you submit it. Takes maybe a minute. You've got options everywhere as well. All sports, basketball, baseball, hockey, golf, whatever it may be, it fits. And today we are mixing and matching. We're going to go with NBA and MLB action. We got Spurs superstar Victor Wembanyama to have more than half a rebound in the first 3 minutes of the game. This is crazy. He's averaging 2.4 during the first 3 minutes while the playoffs are going on. We're also taking Rangers infielder Corey Seager to have more than half a strikeout, unfortunately. Seager has struck out 6 times in his last 5 games. So that's the play today, and that's what you do. You trust your gut, you lock it in. Now every single moment means something, and Prize Picks is available in all 50 states, including right here in the great state of Texas. So download the app, use code HMA, play $5. They're going to give you $50 in lineups instantly. Again, code HMA5 gets you 50. Simple as that. As always, play smart, play responsibly, play Prize Picks. And Jerry, I'm going to let you tell us all about Vaughn Lane.
I unmute here because this guy's very loud over here. Still very, very loud. All right. Vaughn Lane. What are we talking about with Vaughn Lane? Well, they're nickel and diming you. So the airlines are at it again. You've probably heard one of the big ones just moved to assigned seating, but here's the catch. If you buy their cheapest fare, you don't actually get a seat assignment until you check in. Want to pick a seat Want to pick your seat? That'll be an extra $80 or more. Oh, and now they're charging for check bags too. It just keeps adding up and up and up. Meanwhile, Vaughn Lane is out here doing the opposite. No bag fees, no surprise charges, no TSA lines. You just show up at a beautiful hotel terminal, walk on in minutes, and settle into just one of 22 oversized leather seats with complimentary Wi-Fi, snacks, drinks, and hot towel service. On select departures, you may even get a complimentary meal. And the Wi-Fi, it's Starlink, so it actually works. Try saying that about many airlines at 30,000 feet. Vaughn Lane just added more departure times between Houston and San Antonio and between Fort Worth, Austin, and Austin, so it's easier than ever to fit a trip into your schedule. Vaughn Lane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, and Knoxville. Visit VaughnLane.com and use promo code OTF26, OTF all caps, 26, to get $20 off your first trip. What is Vaughn Lane? It's a private jet on wheels. Elegant travel, and elevated.
There you go. Good job, Jerry.
We're not elegant and elevated.
Elegated. That makes elegated.
Elegated still works.
All right, guys. Well, our next guest, Bobby, I believe is all set to go. So I'm going to let you do that introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring in Matt Hayes. He's going to be on audio for us only, Blake. He's joining us on his way to the ACC meetings down there. Matt is a senior college football writer for the USA Today Sports Network and authored the piece that came out this morning about Steve Sarkeesian that we opened the show with. Matt, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good. So we went through your graphic, Matt. We went through your article. I mean, earlier this morning, you had a long conversation with Steve Sarkeesian, and tell us what you thought of it and really the main pieces that you wanted to talk about.
You know, honestly, Bobby, I don't think this is unique to Sark. I think it's a lot of coaches, basically all coaches in college football. They're all sick of it. They're all sick of the no fear of consequence situation right now in college football. You know, look, the bottom line is this: you have a sports governing body, the NCAA, that is afraid right now to use any kind of enforcement because they're so litigation weary. And it's not even really the money. It's just they're tired of the public beatings, right? Now, they just got a win yesterday with Nebraska, but that's going to be short-lived because once the Nebraska Attorney General gets into that situation with the private NIL in Nebraska, that's going to change quickly as well. The NCAA is basically hands-off right now, and I think there's a lot of frustrated coaches out there. I just spoke with Dabo Swinney yesterday about the whole Luke Farrelly case, the linebacker from Cal who transferred to Clemson was allegedly was texting him to can you let's come to Ole Miss. Allegedly again, Pete Golding, the Ole Miss head coach, texted a photo of $1 million check to Luke Farrelly. And Dabo said he's got the receipts. Dabo said he sent everything to the NCAA. It's been almost 3 months now, and I asked him yesterday, what have you heard? He said nothing. And I said, Dabo, nothing? And he looked at me and he goes, nothing. We've heard nothing. Think about that concept, okay?
It's brutal, and I think that the thing that caught me and what I wanted to get into you with, Matt, a little bit, you said, you asked Sark, what are we going to do about it? And one of the things that Sark brought up to you was this idea that he thinks is gaining traction, and that's the SEC and or another group kind of breaking away from the NCAA. Did he go into any further detail with you on that, or do you have any other kind of information to share with us on it?
I don't think he sees it as and everybody else breaking away. I think he sees it as the SEC breaking away. There's legit talks about that within the league presidents, within the athletic directors of this is ridiculous. We can't get anything done. And why are we fighting this battle? Now, you could say, well, that's just a leverage point for them, and it may be. It certainly may be. But when you've got ESPN on your side and you've got those prime television windows on your side, and you are 2-1, maybe even 3-1, or 4-1 for that matter, as far as that magic 4 million viewing viewing TV rating over the Big Ten right now, you can do whatever you want. Because at the end of the day, we can talk about the Big Ten closing ground with 3 national titles and the Big Ten's, getting better players and how their deep alumni bases are now funneling NIL money there. That's all fine and well. The SEC is still dominating in television ratings, and that's the key moving forward. So that would also be the key to them saying, you know what, I think we're done. We're going to go have our own playoff. We're going to do our own thing. And then if you guys over here have your own playoff and you have a champion and you decide, okay, well, we want to play your champion, the SEC will do that, but it's going to cost money. It's not going to be any little freebie game. It's going to cost. So, yeah, I think it's a leverage point, but I also think they're serious about it.
So how would that even begin to work based on what you've heard from behind the scenes? Just break away and create a. So they would add teams, Matt, or anything. What's the idea there?
No, I don't think you're adding teams at all. I think it's a football thing, and I think you're going to play 10 league games. You'll play 2 non-conference games because any G5 team worth their salt trying to stay alive is going to take that non-conference game and get that $1.52 million buyout. So you'll do that, and then you'll have a little 8-team playoff and go from there. And it will be a giant success.
So you're saying, let me make sure I get this right. You're saying that the SEC would break off and then instead of a 9-game SEC schedule, potentially go to a 10-game schedule and then create an 8-team playoff. Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby, that's just me with throwing out ideas. Okay?
Okay.
That's me speculating. I'm not giving you a thought process of what I think would happen. Because you're not going to break away and then continue to give ESPN 3 or 4 non-conference games against G5s, right? You're going to give them the content they want, the games they want for those magic TV windows. So that would be my guess of why they would move to 10 games. Again, it's a leverage point for them right now. And it's interesting how this is what the craziest part of all, Bobby, is in January, the Big Ten was going along with the 2014 playoff. The SEC, the Big 12, the ACC, and Notre Dame all wanted 16. 4 months later, they all want 24 except for the SEC. And there's the SEC. They are literally, Bobby, they are 300 Sparta fighting the Persian Empire right now, and they are not giving up. I'm going to tell you that right now. They will not give up on that 16 team.
Is there a reason why they won't capitulate on the 16?
Because they don't want to give up their championship game. Their championship game has been the fabric of that conference. The reason it became like this rocket engine, and they're not going to give that up. It's still, if not the best, one of the 2 best games every year. So they're not giving that up. My guess, and again, this is just my guess. My guess is eventually they'll try and sell that thing as a standalone.
And how? What do you mean by that? As a standalone?
You sell it apart from your TV deal. You have the TV deal with ESPN, then you sell it as a standalone. And if ESPN wants to buy that as well, fine. If CBS wants to buy it, great. If Amazon wants to buy it, great. You're building a market. And if ESPN wants to say, well, you want that too, well, you're going to pay us even more.
Yeah. Matt, another couple of comments that Steve Sarkeesian made in that article that we're referencing that you wrote today for the USA Today. He kind of hit on Ole Miss a little bit and said at Ole Miss you could enroll in basket weaving. What did you think about that tweet? Did you laugh when he said it? Where do you think that was actually coming from?
I think he's frustrated. Honestly, Bobby, I think he's frustrated. He sat there and looked at me and said, I brought up Cal and I said, Sark, have you seen what Cal did in their transfer portal situation? They had 32 kids and there's a lot, a handful of them have been in 3 schools. What's his
I think we're going through a rough spot here, Blake, with Matt. Let's see if we can get him back, maybe, or what we can do. But he's clearly going through a rough spot on it. Matt Hayes.
That's interesting comments on the SEC, Bobby. That was very interesting.
Yeah, he's more. I didn't realize maybe that how serious Greg Sankey and even some of their coaches really are at this point. But I want to thank Matt Hayes for joining us for the time that he did. Appreciate him very much. He spoke with Steve Sarkeesian, wrote the article. Please go check out the article or check out Matt Hayes on Twitter, and he will have more for you in that article. Blake, can you put up your graphic from the one we started with this morning? Because I think this ties it all together for everyone today. And this is what Sark was getting at. Academics have been forgotten. The selection committee it's an impossible task. What they've been tasked with, in his opinion. Now, Jerry disagrees with that, and I can see Jerry's point. And then no rules, no fear, no consequences. And that's what Matt Hayes just said was the overall tenor of his discussion with Steve Sarkeesian and what that could lead to. The fact that there is no fear, there are no consequences, that leaves us in what some people believe is a untenable situation right now. No question about it.
Yeah, I think, Bobby, you're going to the SEC spring meetings in 2 weeks. I think this article is going to make that much more interesting for you guys that are attending that from a media perspective in 2 weeks, because there's going to be a lot of discussion about this. I think a number of coaches are going to be asked about this at the spring meetings. Greg Sankey is going to be asked about this. I think that just made that for you guys that are going to be there much more interesting, because it's going to spark a different discussion. And what Matt just talked about, Bobby, the SEC championship game. Greg Sankey, is there any way, in the scenario, you're willing to give it up? And
it sounds like the answer is no, according to Matt Hayes.
The answer's going to be no, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, I mean, Matt, for his part, said that he doesn't know that for sure. It's just his feeling based on all of this. And I will say that every time I go to the SEC meetings, Matt Hayes is there. So
yeah,
that's he's a little bit more in the know from that perspective than maybe I am. I will say this: I would hate to see that happen if the SEC win it alone. I would like someone to go with them.
Yeah,
who that is, I don't know, but it doesn't have to be the Big Ten to me.
Yeah.
And then if you want to have these two sides of the coin meet for a national championship game, more power to them. Maybe that's how you get to your 64 teams. And, we've talked about it. That would essentially create a 8-team playoff for the SEC, as opposed to a 2014. It could be 8-team SEC and 8-team college football. And then we'll see what happens.
You would essentially at that point be creating two NFLs, a 232-team NFL leagues, and then each champion goes and plays for all the marbles, and you still have a real national champion. That could be one way to work around all of this.
Yeah, I wonder if
you still have to have a true national champion somewhere in there, Bobby. Else the fans are gonna say, "What's the point?"
Well, do they add? I asked him if they add anybody, and Matt said no, not really. But I could see a Florida State, North Carolina, Clemson, Miami joining in that. Maybe you add some other folks along the way that would be interested. Anyways, that's good stuff. I think that what Sark really got to, and what Matt was pointing out, I think, is that they're in the absence of authority, which is what we have right now, lack of institutional control on part of the NCAA. What are we all doing? And there's got to be solutions, because right now Congress isn't coming up with any that work. No one else seems to be. So we'll see how it goes. Hey, before we get out of here today, we need to say thank you one last time to our sponsor, our friend Rick Vavro and the guys over at Texas Road, your full service solution for major road projects. with the full support of multiple crews performing utility, dirt work, concrete, and asphalt. Texas Road provides on-site concrete through volumetric trucks for smaller volumes. They're able to complete road building in a high-profile environment. Again, that's Texas Road, your full-service solution for major road projects in and around the state of Texas and Austin, Texas as well. Blake, what do we got?
Got a couple of super chats that we need to knock out this morning. JL Management 2001, thank you for the super chat. Says, Bobby, you ditched the office?
Yes, I'm not in the office. I am. I've got some news and notes coming for that. Maybe I'll announce some stuff a little later this week into next week. But no more office here. No more office.
Texas on my mind says, so can we now officially retire the Sark plays the long game in recruiting talk? Jerry?
No, not for me, because when we say plays the long game, even if they lose out on guys, he's just not moving on to the next guy. They fight. There's still going to be November and late October and November recruiting. Nothing's going to change. And no, I'm not retiring that, because I think the process, the calendar has moved everybody up and forced people to move up that didn't want to move up from late June to earlier June to mid-June. More kids are already announcing commitment dates, but that doesn't mean recruitments are over. That's the one thing I want to keep saying. That doesn't mean recruitments are over. And there is still going to be late recruiting by Steve Sarkeesian and the staff. That's not going to change. What I do think has changed is we're seeing more May official visits. We've even seen more April official visits. The calendar's moving up, and up. But again, there's going to be a lot of kids that commit early that kind of get their spot, but that doesn't necessarily mean their recruitment's over either. Some things will play out. There's a lot of things that are play out, but I think Sark and this staff will stay on their guys. If they miss out on 2 or 3 guys that they thought were the best that they recruit, they're going to stay on them until signing day. Hey, I want to bring one thing up real quick, because I want to bring this up real quick because it's such an amazing story. And I think we need to congratulate PJ Tucker on a great career. One of the Texas greats in basketball, 20-year NBA career. And for people that don't know his story, Rick Barnes signed PJ Tucker without ever seeing him play out of Inlow, I think, in Raleigh High School. He was not great academically. North Carolina didn't offer him. Frank Haith convinced Rick Barnes that this guy could be a big-time player. Rick Barnes trusted his assistant, signed PJ Tucker. He went on to win Big 12 Player of the Year. He actually had an academic struggle. He flunked out one season at Texas and really cost Texas a chance to go to another Elite Eight. But he came back. He didn't leave. He stayed at Texas, and he fought through it from the academic side, came back even better, helped lead Texas to an Elite Eight. The other thing with him is development never ends. He didn't take threes. He may not have made a 3 in college. He was drafted in the 2nd round, had to go to Europe to build a pro game, to have a chance at an NBA career. And he ended up being one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. Your development's never over for kids out there. He had adversity in high school. He wasn't recruited by the people he wanted to be recruited by necessarily. Texas basketball in North Carolina wasn't a thing. But Frank Haith trusted in what his eyes brought him to Texas. He won Big 12 Player of the Year, overcame some academic issues, couldn't shoot the basketball in college, ended up being a 3-and-D player in the NBA and having a 20-year career. If that doesn't tell you that it's a long, winding road, nothing does for an athlete.
Perseverance, man.
Yep.
Perseverance and hard work.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Coffee and Football presented by Texas Road. We want to thank Texas Road, along with Ridge, Hexclad, Prize Picks, and Vaughn Lane, all for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Bobby, what do you got for everyone later today?
Absolutely. Going to talk recruiting breakdown. Jerry and the guys going to talk about Bryson Thrower and his announcement of a commitment. Got to preview Brock Williams and his impending pledge potentially on Friday, as well as Jerry's trips around the country to see different players. CJ's been on the road. He went up and saw Caleb Seiler over at Gunner, the new offensive line offer that Texas put out on Sunday as well. So the guy's got a lot of stuff coming up for you on Recruiting Breakdown. We'll also have a couple other videos. And if you didn't get a chance to read this yesterday, I would suggest you go back and read an article that Jeff Howe posted yesterday afternoon, early evening, about Texas and offensive line recruiting and offensive line development. Thought it was a really good piece by Jeff Howe there on TexasFootball.com.
Good stuff. Hey, and don't forget, tomorrow we'll have Texas baseball head coach Jim Schlossnagle. He'll be stopping by to talk to us for a little bit as they get ready to wrap up conference play. And other than that, we hope you have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Welcome, Horns.